Are you ready for the most epic plant tour? I'm talking conservatory, house, front garden, back garden, allotment, everything. Stick around with me and let's have a look at all of my plants. Hi, my name is Memo, this is my channel, Houseplantygoodness, and essentially it's a place where I like to geek out about my big passion. You might be able to see some of it behind me, it's tropical houseplants. So as I said at the beginning of the video, this is everything. As in like the gardens, the allotment, inside the house, inside the conservatory, everything. Strap yourself in, I do not know how long this video is going to be, because I'm going to film each section separately and just put them all together in one long video. This is probably going to be one of the last times you're going to see me. You're going to see me probably at the very end as well with some of my final thoughts, but it will all be point of view, so I will be showing you what I am seeing through all of my plants everywhere basically. It might be a bit fast and dirty, but otherwise we would probably be here for hours if I gave like a 10-minute slot for each one of the plants that I would have. We'd probably be here for days. So hopefully you enjoy, and I shall catch you at the very end. Right, and let's look at the conservatory as a quick tour basically. So the Monstera partita, I can't remember if that's the one, the recent one that I got, is doing really well. On a moss pole, it's doing exceptionally well. My Plamanii has seen better days, but I am finally getting large leaves on my Glorious. And you can see that's the Atababoense. That is the monkey face orchid, my Superbam. And then you can see all the some of the new orchids, some of the old orchids. You might be able to see a bloom right there. That's the coconut pie orchid. It smells amazing in here, before you ask. I have got a Spanish moss, Tillandsia there, and you might be able to see my monkey pitcher plant is looking quite huge. I know I need to cut some of these off, and they've been there for years now, but I haven't got no time. More of the orchids. And this is the Epipremnum corner, which has got more than just Epipremnums now. So this is the Heleniae there. Let me show you the Anthurium criticum, I think it's called. Right behind there you can see the Gigas, the Waterburyanum, I think that one is. My Cuticuense somewhere in there as well. What else? So you can see all the different Epipremnums. This is the Shangri-La, this is the Enjoy, that is the Manjula. I've got my Colocaceas, Pharaoh's Mask, Colocacia, so Caladiums even, and then Colocaceas. And there's more Epipremnums going down. And then I wanted to show you, I haven't even switched on, it's been a morning, I haven't even switched on all my grow lights, but this is the Rhaphidophora hongkongensis that I was telling you about, that has I've just let it vine and it's doing its mostest. You might be able to see right back there, I'm starting to get some amazing kind of starting to look a bit more like the oak leaves. Still only have 3 leaves on it, but that is the Anthurium clavigerum. You can see a Dark Lord peeping out at the back there. My Melanobulata is finally coming back. It had a bit of a winter issue, but it's coming back. The large and in chargeness that is my Philodendron esmeraldense, as well as the Anthurium esmeraldense. And you know, for the people that were worried about that leaf that I just cut off, that is the newest one, and it's still growing. It hasn't hardened off yet. There's also one there that is absolutely huge. This is the back of the Anthurium esmeraldense newest leaf, and this is the front. Just to give you context, that is my hand next to it. So really, really big. Again, tiniest of pots. my forgetii that apparently is not a true forgetii, and thanks everybody for like pointing that out. I didn't realise, but all valid thoughts. My heterocraspidum that is finally on a moss pole, that was the bottom cut, but remember this one is the one that I had the air layering that was happening. I thought there was enough roots on the bottom of this plant. I don't think there was, but there was enough in the air layering, and that's what's coming back. You can see the slight shininess that is happening on the leaves because unfortunately the Pinnatylobum, I think it's Pinnatylobum philodendron had a slight spider mite issue, so there's a whole bunch of neem oil that's happening. It seems to have helped, but you just tend to get a bit more shiny leaves. The Lancia, Anthurium is doing really well, and there is a brand new leaf. What else? Oh, this is the hybrid Luxurians Magnificum. That is the Dean McDowell. And right, let me show you one of the biggest leaves on the Splendid. And by the way, none of these are on moss poles, so they do eventually size up. I'm trying to show you one over here as well. They do get larger. And can we take a moment, please, for the sheer size of the newest Queen Anthurium leaf, and I will show you my hand there, basically. Newest leaf on the Vitarifolium. Why am I blocking? I'm just showing you like Sharonii, that was it. Philodendron Sharonii. The Anthurium bullatus, I think it is. That's another Anthurium. This plant that hopefully you've either seen in this video or you will see in another video, which I did a quick unboxing for. There is a white princess. There's another dark lord there. There's a feral mandula. There's an amplicium. You can see this is all dust and everything. There you go. You can see the Anthurium ophalterianum there, and that is its newest leaf. It's so cute. There's a bunch of things happening down here. So that is a variegated Adansonii, which was dirt cheap if you just waited for a couple of years. Baby Magnificum, Velenuarum. This was originally where I had all my seedlings, so you've got the tin foil to reflect some of the light back. Annoyingly, the Flavolineatum roots are doing great, but it's lost a whole bunch of leaves. They all crisp up and die, and I don't know why, because everything seems healthy. I've even moved it out of the damp sphagnum moss into an Anthurium mix, and I even unpotted it recently to check, and it's doing fine. I don't understand what's wrong with it. Then you've got the Alocasia brancifolia, the Anthurium metallicum. This is my Clarinervium, one of the propagates, basically. You might be able to see there, that is the Zara X Michelle, and you can see its newest leaf there, so it does have some of that pinkish going on. The Erysomoides, and then here, oh, let me show you these leaves. Oh, stunning, stunning, stunning. That leaf there, it's looking a bit, it was quite close up against the top of the glass. It was in a different location behind me, but I've had to move it now. But you can see some of the leaves here. That's another one. There's a newest one coming there. This is the Esmeralda Spirit. The size of my veitchii, this is the newest leaf, and it is well on the way to not being anywhere near hardening off. My unknown Anthurium. You can also see the largest veitchii leaf in the back there. Chewy, the original, oh no, this is Chewy's propagation, so this is Chewy 2.0 that was massive, has had issues. My busted up looking dragon scale, thanks everybody for the advice, that was absolutely magnificent. And Alocasia sinuata, I think it is, which was struggling in semi-hydro, moved it back into soil because I've done that with too many of my plants. The Philodendron luxurians, which is seeming to be doing really well. It got caught a bit when it was unfurling, but that's its newest leaf. That's how close it is to grow light, even though it's not on at the moment. So that is a marble Adansonii. This is the strawberry ice syngonium, I think. Mandula cuttings. That is, oh, the white fusion, or the one that looked like a white fusion. White knight. Some of my original propagates of my seedlings. Just random feral gloriouses that are happening here. Stunning. The people that know what this is. This has just been added recently. And this is what I mean about the eminence. I mean, this leaf is okay. That's doing fine and it's impressive, but it gains a leaf and it loses a leaf. The Jose Bueno is Jose Buenoing. Hold on, let me show you properly. Oh, look at the newest leaf. The Anthurium Pinkly Eye is one that I never thought I was going to love. But I mean, look at how bushy this plant is. Absolutely ridiculous. The Anthurium Nicolagnum Gigi, I think that one is. El Chaco Red. You can see the redness there at the back. I keep giving it a moss pole. Is it attaching to the moss pole? No, it's going away from the moss pole because things. Let's have a look at what else. That is my Spiritus, the Obliqua Peru that's finally got a moss pole and it's doing well. This was from one of the followers actually. This was another glorious, but they had a much more mature form leaf, so I thought let's try that as well. I cannot remember the Majestic, I think that one is. The Pinati Partita is finally, the Monstera Pinati Partita is finally splitting. The, oh my jungle, too many things. The Piper Sarmentosum, more of the Philodendron Burleymarks variegata. Syngonium chiapense. What else is down there? The Ricardum Anthurium. Let's have a look. The Thermatophyllum sprucianum, or the Philodendron goldii. There is my Patricii that's finally getting absolutely massive leaves. The Mamei. Oh, this is the silver one. I can't remember what it's called. Here is my amazing Epipremnum skeleton key. I am so happy with this plant, I cannot even tell you, basically. And then if we go across, whilst I don't trip over everything, that is context of the size of the leaf, the most recent leaf, and there's another one coming up right next to the dehumidifier still. I mean, that is just this morning's amount of water. That is a bucket and it's almost half full. This should tell you something. This is my lesser variegated Monstera adansonii. You can see the Anthurium pedatum there, the Begonia brevirimosa subspecies exotica. This is the Pelora ens, I think it is. Oh, and there's obviously, oh no, that's just whitefly. I thought that was mealybugs. My Pipers, just to give you an indication of kind of what light they're getting, that is kind of almost a southern facing window through a net. That's the Crocatum, that's the Sylvaticum. This is the Frederick Starlii, if I'm not mistaken. This is the original Chewbacca. My Syngonium that I can never remember the name of. Yes, I still have some of the Calatheas as well there. Right at the back, which you might be able to see, and you might be sitting there going, it's an Esqueleto. It isn't. That is a cutting of a reverted Monstera adansonii. This, however, is an Esqueleto, basically. So all over the place, very dead. I thought it was just throwing a hissy fit. That is a Spathiphyllum variegated, which I've been meaning to get rid of for a while. I did it a favour, or it did me a favour by just dying. More Pink Princess for my sins. And I think that is everything of this quick tour. Here's a juke for everybody that was asking. How you doing, buddy? You doing all right? Yes. As you can tell, he's got a lot larger and he's a bit calmer. He's still not calm enough to be around my plants, but still quite good. very much an excitable puppy still. And then just starting off in the utility room, that's the one. I've got a whole bunch of plants here that are growing really happily on the window ledge. Just so you can kind of see a lot of these are growing in semi-hydro basically. And there's an errant duke. Bud, how about you stop eating everything off the ground, buddy? What's up? Yeah, bud. And then let me take you into le kitchen with a little trusty follower coming along as well. And right. So you can see the plants that I was talking about before. The adenium seems to be doing well. There's some new buds that are coming on. My Hoyas are still loving life over here. The other adenium is there. Some of these had root rot, but they are coming back. But you can see what I mean now. This is the view from the kitchen and it's on a main road. So I need this horrible net curtain here in order to give some privacy, which is why I wanted these big plants here as well. But then you can see the croton there as well. And some more of the Hoyas down at the back, basically. Now bringing you into the rest of the house, you might be able to see I've got a cast iron plant there, a whole bunch of propagates. There you go, you can see the skull glasswork that I was talking about before. That's a reverted burley marks, varicosum, pregnant onion, and that is a glorious. And Adansonii. Into the kind of corridor of the house, the only thing that will grow quite happily there is some ZZ plants. There's a propagate of Syngonium albo, and then right here is my hibiscus. So if I swing you around into the guest bathroom, you can kind of see what I meant. In terms of the polytail palm, there's a reverted Syngonium there that's kind of trailing, and I like the way that it's trailing, and a very large golden pothos. Also, this is the room that I was just like, you know what, I don't know, and I didn't realise that it had Arctic ceilings, but look, I'm just like, you know what, if I'm going to have Arctic ceiling, let's embrace that like no tomorrow, because it's very 80s. So I gold leafed the Arctics, because why not? And I did the same with the radiator. And it's tarnishing a bit, but I don't care. It just gives it a bit of like, a bit of style really, I think. Okay, I thought I'd show you Spike's little kind of enclosure, because essentially it is a glorified terrarium really. You might be able to see Spike right there in the back. Sorry, I do need to clean my glass. Right there in his little hide. And then you might be able to see some sansevierias that are looking a bit sad. And then, what else? There's another sansevieria right there, and then you've got the kind of bay window. The Hoya australis lisa is doing exceptionally well. It's very, very large in the moment. The Philodendron eximium, some random propagates. I've got the neon Philodendron scandens, the Philanthus mirabilis that I was talking about before, a random cutting of a melanochrysum, this Dracena, which has just never skipped a beat. It's slow, but you know, it's fine. Random cutting of a pedatum, some orchids, some further Hoyas, my crown of thorns. Okay, and for the people in the know, they know that this is the office now. This is the window behind where I sit all the time with a whole bunch of orchids, including a very busted looking vanilla orchid. And if I swing you around, you might be able to see the size of my Thai constellation. There is also the slightly reverted Philodendron burley marks for the people that were worried when it went. It's still in bits around the house. And then if I pan you around, you might be able to see the other section of jungle in the house, basically. And apologies for the slight darkness. Usually there's a light that happens here, but yeah, this is the other part of the house. And then if I swing you over really quickly, you might be able to see that is Drusilla, and what I call in the household, that's meanwhile in Australia pose, and it's just like, I am just sunning myself. Leave me alone, slave. And then let me show you really quickly into the ensuite of the bathroom. Apologies for all the laundry because I'm doing this off the cuff, but that is, oh, I can't remember what that is, the Patura Aquatica and whatever cuttings I had from my original Pink Princess. Coming into the bathroom now, so this is the, oh, why am I blocking? The Peliskia Ming is living here, and right next to it is my Syngonium. Oh, I can never remember what the Syngonium is called. I'll see if I can add it on the list or at the top of the video. More Burley Marks variegata, a very busted looking whole bunch of propagations from Monstera albo. Now into one of the other spare rooms. This is the Golden Goddess, or the Philodendron Neon, sometimes called. There you go, you can see that this is finally blooming. That Ceropegia that I was talking about before, and hopefully it will focus. Instead of it trying to focus on everything else, there you go, you can see the bloom there. More cuttings of the Burley Marks, more Pedatum, more of the Monstera alba, that was a less variegated one. These are some of my baby succulents that were done from a trade from Carrie. Carrie, if you see this, they're all doing well. And you can see the rest of them there, and more of the Eximium. Okay, this is another one of the spare rooms now, and that is Euphorbia trigonum, a few more succulents, Peperomia, the one that's called, it's a variegated one, but it's called the mini rubber plant. A stunning Hoya, which I can never remember, it's one with numbers basically, but it's very, very cool. If I show you the leaves there, and they get a slight red tinge to them as well, and you might be able to see the red tinge there when it's sun-stressed. A Hoya bavata that I've had for donkey long, a Crassula ovata, an Echeveria that is just stretching. Now into the bedroom. This is the Medinilla magnifica, which is in a whole bunch of like bloom at the moment. I think it got attacked by spider mites at some point, and I dealt with them on the leaves, but it then went into bloom, and the kind of the growth points in terms of the leaves have slowed down. I'm assuming they're going to catch up when the blooms all go. It drops blooms like mad, like you might be able to see. So that, you might be able to recognize it as a Euphorbia obesa. That is one as well. It just stretches. So this is my peyote cactus, which is downy. That is the, oh, I can never remember what that's called, but that's the one that I got as a gift from another order. More Phalaenopsis and my Sansevieria moonshine. Okay, so a tour of the outside of the house. Apologies for the traffic because I'm on a major road. So you might be able to see through the window there is the ponytail palm. I've got some of my hanging baskets. Oh, I do love those flowers. And then here you might be able to see what I meant about that really bright window. It's obviously grey today, but you can see where the Croton is, you can see where the Hoyas are. They're very bleached out, but they're very happy. And you can see where the Adeniums are and more sun-stressed Hoyas, but they seem to be doing really well. They're constantly blooming. So let me show you the outside. So let's go up here. You can see there is technically a passion flower there. And for however much I hated growing up and having geraniums everywhere, I have now somehow managed to have geraniums everywhere. So these are passion flowers right there. And this is a jasmine, Trachylaspermum jasminoides. I think that's how you'd say it. And I think this is part of the salvia family, but this is something called hot lips, and it is kind of taking over. And you might be able to see a new addition, which is a banana. That's a Darjeeling banana. And these are stunning roses, which I've never seen before moving and purchasing this house. And they almost, the actual blooms themselves look variegated. It's very, very, very cool. And things are, I mean, we've got the climbing rose that's doing well over there. There is a pile of bindweed because weeds everywhere. And a very, very large and established hydrangea, basically. There's another hanging basket there. And unfortunately, the clematis has finished blooming, but because it's an early variety, but I had planted one last year here, and it's doing quite well. I'm looking forward to the blooms of this one because they're large and purple, and they smell a bit like marshmallows, which is really cool. And this tickles me crazy as somebody from a warm country, because that's kind of like almost like a bird's nest fern that just grows outside and then goes dormant in the winter and comes back in the summer. More of the geranium that I was talking about. And more ferns. Oh my god, it's so exciting. Now let me show you the back garden. And apologies, it's still a mess. It's story of my life, everything's a mess basically. There's a Duke, which is very codependent, and more of those hanging baskets. I found this amazing artist that does kind of glass work, and that's kind of like a really interesting glass monstera leaf. But yes, loads of alstromerias, because it's something that's really kind of enjoyed. Honeysuckle, because I grew up in a house that was like heaving with honeysuckles, and more of the indoor plants there. That's another piece of glass artwork, basically. More alstromerias. This little thing over here might seem really unassuming, but that is a pomegranate plant. A very sun-stressed, like, cactus there. I think that's a Christmas cactus. I don't know if it's going to make it, but thought I'd take it out. Annoyingly, my mastic plant, I bought it out early, and it seems like all of the leaves have gone sun-stressed. It's not dead, they've just seemed to have gone red. You can see the greenery behind it is a whole bunch of mint. These are very cool. I got them from Farmer Gracie for the garden. I need to plant them in. It was going to happen today, but it's a bit too wet and cold today. These are toad lilies, and they're really, really interesting. Have a look if you can see them online. They're kind of blue and look a bit like orchids. They're very, very cool. Some lemon balm, I think, if I'm not mistaken there. These are some of my patio trees in pots. So that's an apple. Next to it is an apple. A cherry blossom tree, like a weeping cherry blossom tree. I have to represent the Greek side with some oregano, obviously. This looks a bit hodgepodge here, as most of the place does as well, but most of these cabbages are food for Drusilla, the bearded dragon, because she loves cabbages. More alstromerias. These are stunning. Out of all of them, I think the red ones are the biggest success. This tree right here, that's in a pot, is hazelnut, which is really cool. My very, very large Acer, well, this is the largest I've been able to grow them. Onions I've never been able to grow at the allotment because for some reason all of the bunnies and everything else likes to chew the leaves off, so they never really develop, so I thought I'd put them in pots, and they're doing really, really well. These are some of the interesting plants from Farmer Gracie. I can't remember the name of them right now, but I will let you know, hopefully, on the video. This should be interesting when it finally blooms. That is a poppy, but it's a very interesting poppy. More salvia, but with purple flowers. And a whole bunch, because, again, I'm stubborn, did not manage to grow celery last year. It was really pathetic, so I got plug plants this year, but they're doing really well. Believe it or not, that is triple the size that they were before. A Schefflera, if I'm not mistaken. My green wool, which I realise goes too dry too quickly, so it's a whole bunch of more geraniums and variegated nasturtiums, and I'll show you that in just a moment. This rose, which got inherited when the house was purchased, which is absolutely stunning, and it smells fantastic. It's only just coming in. I've got cherry tree right there with 2 little cherries, which I need to cover up before the birds have them, because I will have the 2 cherries. Some, I want to say fennel, it's not fennel. Tarragon, that's the one. My peaches that are growing quite nicely. However, I didn't realise, because this tree I bought last year and didn't have the leaf curl which peach trees tend to get, and I've been trying to deal with it, but I think from what I can see online is I've missed the boat. I needed to have sprayed it before, so I'm just trying to keep it happy for now, and I will spray it at the end of the season and the beginning of the next. A fig tree which normally gives me figs, but for some reason this year, actually I don't scrap the some reason, I know, it's been too bloody wet and cold this spring. That is a plum, if I'm not mistaken. More alstromerias at the back there. This is an apricot. I think this is another lemon balm. But yeah, it does smell a bit lemony, but I don't know if it's lemon mint, potentially. Some of my kind of alpines, and I'm trying to avoid landmines from Duke. There's more ferns there. There's a red rosebush that's happening over here. That is my hopefully coming out of hibernation or dormancy variegated Alocasia gaggiana, and there's another apricot there. There's a banana that I thought had died right down there, and then I bought this one. But the banana is coming back, and a very pathetic attempt at a pond, which I do need to kind of sort out a bit more, basically. But these are floating water lettuces. These little green things that are floating as well are floating ferns. A Tetrapanax rex, which is slowly kind of sizing up. More hanging baskets, because I thought I'd make it pretty. And then here is my bird of paradise summering. It's looking a bit worse for wear, but this is its recharge for the summer, and then it will come back inside. More hanging baskets. That I'm very proud of. It might look a bit busted at the moment, but that is wasabi. And here you can see, this is the angel feather, I think it's called, hosta. There's some variegated hostas there. There's a big blue one there. There's another tiny variegated hosta. This is parsley that I left in the ground over the winter from last year, and it's just growing like a bush. More honeysuckle. And it's annoying because it's just dying back now, but that was part of the arum lily family, basically. That is jasmine. My one banana bajo that has kind of like since sprouted more. This is something that people might not know, especially in the UK or colder climates. This is something called a swamp hibiscus. And swamp hibiscus will go dormant over the winter and then come back in the spring. So if you didn't think you could grow a hibiscus in a cold climate, you can. So yeah, you can see a bit more of the banana. Some weeds that I need to deal with, more Traculus burmis. This is the much larger fig tree that I had, but again, it had quite a few little figs that were ready for the season, but they've all dropped. My potatoes, my new potatoes, are coming along nicely. That is a mulberry. Over there, in case you're wondering what that is, it looks a bit like dock leaves. That is horseradish. And let me show you inside the polytunnel at home. Okay, so there's a lot of things happening that, again, weeds need to deal with. But some more Thai basils, some amaranth, some sweet basil, some variegated, I think those are variegated, they are, variegated nasturtiums, some padron peppers, and more bits at the bottom. I do need to deal with some of the bolted things down at the bottom. This was my climbing peas or beans, which got decimated by the slugs. So I'm replanted them at the moment, so hopefully that will be a bit better. Let me just close this up really quickly. Also, can you understand the jankiness that is happening here? The zip broke, so I've got another zip that's supposed to have glue that didn't have particularly good, so what I've done is I've added in like staples. That's so busted, it's so me. More alstroemerias, because obviously I don't have enough. And then summering for the Florida Ghost, the greenhouse, and I will show you here that, if I'm not mistaken, is Vietnamese coriander, which if you've never had it, trust me, find some and get some. And then right next to it is a stevia plant. Got some strawbs coming along. You can see the green wall again. So let me show you my greenhouse. So again, the level of mess in here. But loads of little baby plants that are coming along. Down below, for the people that have been here for a while, that is ginger, like as in edible ginger, basically. And you can see how it's coming up from the ground as well. I've got my fried egg in here. The painted ladies in here. Again, just to do a bit of summering. More cucumbers. And some more kind of baby plants. Now, this is what has happened with, unfortunately, all of my tomato plants, because this year I'm going to be really good. Every year I take them out too early and I never harden them off and they always get the black leaves. This is my attempt at hardening them off. Not what I'm doing right now, but it still had exactly the same effect. So I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going to bother next year. I'm just going to put them in the soil because eventually they'll kind of perk up. But these are the new beans. This plant, I can never remember, but it's the one that looks a bit like a snowflake, like a cut up snowflake. And I think that is everything. Oh, there we go. That is the Tradescantia Nanook that lives in here rent-free in no soil, just as a cutting, whatever moisture it can get year round. And it just grows like a weed. But I think that is everything that I wanted to show you, just so you can see the garden a bit as well, and you can see where the conservatory is in relation as well. Okay, as per a lot of people's request, this is a little update on what is happening with the allotment. So you might be able to see here one of the newest additions. It wasn't planned, but I had too many brackets and I had a couple of old hanging baskets, so I just thought I'd put some hanging baskets on the side of the shed. For the people wondering, yes, we've had like miserably cold like start to the summer, but that is how much water is left in the water butt. So it's gonna be an interesting one. So you might be able to see the girlies in there if I kind of zoom you in. But I put a few more hanging baskets on the side. These are really interesting. I can never remember what they're called. I think they're dianthus. I'll kind of add the name at the top, basically. But these were given to me as seed gifts a few years back, and I didn't think they were going to survive. They lasted for 2 years, and then they died over last winter, thinking that was it. But they've all come back this year again, so happy days. And down at the bottom, what you might be able to see right there, that little frondy thing, is what is called a Californian poppy. It's the second year I've tried to grow them unsuccessfully so far. I've not had a flower yet, but they've got really cool, like orange, bright orange flowers. That's the calendula. There's a variegated nasturtium, and these are something called alyssums, basically, and these smell quite nice for pollinators. But you can see the rhubarb is looking a bit worse for wear. There's some more little flowers in here. This is a bed that has never really grown particularly well in this plot, so I don't know what's going to happen with it. But for now, it's trying its best, and I thought, let's try flowers this year. The next little bit is down here. They're all getting choked up by the weeds, but that little plant there, and there's at least another 2 that are fully behind the weeds. These are one of the few edible honeysuckles that I discovered, or possibly the only edible honeysuckle. It's called honeyberry. And if you've never seen one of these, do a quick Google and have a look, because they've got rectangular fruit that are kind of the same colour as blueberries, and apparently they taste a bit like blueberries as well. So looking forward to getting a bit of a crop from that. Probably not this year, it'll probably be next year. But yeah, that should be quite interesting. But yes, before anybody says, I know I need to do a lot of weeding, but the weeding never ends. Note the solar panels there. I'll show you what they're for in just a second. But you might be able to see the girlies as well. Can you tell that some of them are molting by the sheer volume of feathers, basically? But this is the brassica cage. I say brassica cage. I think this is going to like no longer be the brassica cage after this year. But I've always tried to grow brassicas in here, and the problem I always have, especially this year, anybody that's been in the UK will know. So all of these chewed up things all over the place, they're all Brussels sprouts that I grew to this size before I put them in. These only went in last weekend. They've already been chewed up. This are little cloches that you can buy online. Neither one of them is doing particularly well, because this year I decided I was going to do squashes direct into the ground, because every time we've tried to transplant them, they've not done well, and everybody was just like, plant them in the ground. Yeah, nothing. So that might be a failed attempt, but if the brassicas don't work this year, because I've had this problem the same with all brassicas in this cage, so it's good for the butterflies. There's no butterflies that come in, but the slugs and the voles decimate everything before they even get going. And I've tried everything over the last 3 years. If it doesn't work again this year, this whole cage is going to get moved to somewhere else and possibly give me a bit more space to get into the girls, basically, because it's a bit, that's a bit too tight, basically, trying to get in at the moment. Also, the annoying thing, you might be able to see through the netting, there is a lot of very tall stinging nettles. So, yeah, I always get stung, basically. Here's the patch of weeds. However, because I know that it was going to be a lazy time this year, can you see the frilly thing there? That is carrot, and there's quite a few carrots on here, and carrots generally I found don't have too many issues with growing amongst the weeds. I do need to do some weeding in here, and you might be able to see some of the thin here. Those are onions. These are very exciting, and you might be able to notice there's a cage around it. It's because the bunnies at this time of the year tend to eat these plants. When they're a bit bigger, it's not a problem, but what you might be able to see there, these are all Jerusalem artichokes, which are very, very cool plants, which were planted 3 years ago. Right there, I'm looking forward to this. This one did have a cloche on it, and it's doing well. It did have a bit of a nibble on by some of the other pests around here. There was another one here where you might be able to see the dead remnants of it as well. Unfortunately, that was chewed up in the ground by something, so I don't know what exactly. But these are black sunflowers, so very exciting. And you can see the berries behind, again, amongst the weeds. But that flower there, all those flowers there, they are black berries. And then everything that you're seeing on this plant, which is absolutely ginormous, is black currants. And a few years back made homemade Ribena. If you've never had that, oh my God, it's amazing. More onions. The garlics were harvested earlier on. This is where the beans are going to go, but all my beans have got eaten by all the slugs again this year. Yay, British summer. Some of the strawberries that are growing in here again amongst the weeds. I need to do some weeding. But you know me, this is the reality. So this is slowly starting to bounce back. You might be able to see up the top there. That is a kiwi isai or isai, and this is the hardy kiwi that grows up in the Everest normally. And got some gooseberries. I still need to pick on these gooseberry bushes here. Somebody who might be looking at all the dock leaves and going, what are you doing with all the docks? You need to remove them. I do. The chickens love them. They think that they're the best treat in the world. I've planted some raspberries this year, so they're kind of coming along nicely. Yes, this is the back bit of everything, mess as it is. All right, let me show you the polytunnel really quickly. Right, this is where all the growth, shocking, I know, I can grow indoors, outdoors is a struggle. So there's a whole bunch of spinach that's growing there slowly. This is why those solar panels are outside, and these are automatic watering systems that work on solar, that deal well with being in this hot of an environment. And you can put a massive bucket and everything is kind of set up that way. Whole bunch of salad in the middle. Some of it has bolted, but you can see I have also got hanging planters with a whole bunch of strawberries. So yes, I do need to kind of like do some maintenance in here as well. Some sorrel, and I'm so glad that I managed to grow it. It's growing over my Thai basil, which is this, and then there's some sweet basil that is coming through as well. But you can see that's the watering system. There's another one on this side, which is what you saw earlier on. Some cabbages that look a bit, not cabbages, lettuce, because again, the chickens love them. Less for me, more for the chickens, but that's fine. There are, every year I've managed to grow successfully, may I add, melons. So there are some melons growing in there and in there. And a whole bunch of peppers. This I thought was a volunteer melon because I did not plant it in here. But having seen the flower, I'm not entirely sure. Because I don't know, I think I planted some watermelon seeds. And if it is watermelon, this is definitely not going to grow up. But if it is melon, then maybe. But I don't know, this doesn't look to me like a melon bloom. It looks more like a squash bloom, so I don't know. But again, limited experience of what I've had. You can see some rocket or arugula for the US audience. Again, do need to do some weeding in here as well, but a lot of this is like chili plants or snacking peppers. You might be able to see some little tiny baby peppers there. Whilst I drop my sunglasses. Sage, which I am not a fan of, but apparently keeps away voles and rodents, which has not happened, if I'm being honest. There's a better view of a pepper right there. And then, super exciting, more peppers, more peppers, more peppers. But can you see what is happening all around there? This space here specifically, even last year, I put 2 of these plants. This year I put 3 in. And these are gherkin plants. I'm assuming it's just a variety of cucumbers. It's better meant to be gherkins or pickles. And last year, probably close to 100 litres of like dill pickles or gherkins, or it was just amazing. So this year it might be a bit more. So this is the first batch, probably going to be harvesting next week. But let me show you the last little bit of the allotment. And I've got obviously trellises that are growing off the side of this. Oh. So my asparagus this year is looking apathetic, but that is asparagus and I've kind of let it grow out, but I'm not really getting many asparagus heads. This would have been the 3rd year. For anybody who knows that you need to leave asparagus for the first couple of years and then harvest, this is my measly result after 3 years of letting it be there. Amongst a tiny bit of weeds here, there's a whole bunch of potatoes, but they're looking a bit ratchet because I don't water them. They are my feral potatoes like I had last year. And right in between here, you might be able to see some globe artichokes, which is really, really cool. Again, more harvesting of potatoes here. And where is it? These potatoes here is where I had the potatoes last year. So these are volunteer potatoes. I didn't plant any there this year. But yeah, I think that is the little update from the allotment at the moment. I was hoping for a sunny day. It was sunny just before I started filming, but this is where we're at. So that is all of my plants. Everything is growing because we're in the growing season. My watering schedule, daily, let alone the weekend, is intense to say the least. And you should have had cameos from all the animals as well. The girls at the allotment, Duke, Spike, the crested gecko, and Drusilla, the bearded dragon, basically. But you've seen a lot of my plants now. I think you've probably seen all of my plants now at this point at some point or another, and probably quite a few weeds. But, you know, and the mess that is my life, because life is too short for me to constantly be tidying up. I just, I can't, basically. But hopefully you've enjoyed. But if you do want me to focus a bit more on a certain part of my plants, whether it's the garden, whether or not it's inside the house, or whether or not it's some of the plants in the conservatory, the allotment, do let me know and I can dive into it a bit further. But I thought, let's make this one quick and dirty because we're going to be here for a long time, basically, otherwise. But yeah, Let me know down below if you've had any highlights, anything that surprised you, anything that you want to comment on, because I know a lot of you will probably have thoughts and I am more than happy to hear them, basically. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed, hopefully I shall see you here soon, and I truly, truly hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, bye.